I'm not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test part 125. The 20th century, the First World War. While doing standing yoga, and if you participate in the standing yoga, it's at your own risk. And this will probably be about war. So we're on page 46, and now we're having a new section, the 20th century, and the first part of it is the First World War. The early 20th century was a time of optimism in Britain. So the people were optimistic, we were looking optimistic in the future. We had something similar. At the late 19th century, and also at the beginning of the 20th century, there was discussion about the future of the empire. Supporters of the British Empire and supported its expansion because they believed Britain would benefit through it and increase trade and commerce. And people who were against it said it brings us just into frequent conflicts in many parts of the empire. And the war were also 1899, 1902, so we are in the 20th century. And many people in Britain favored the wars. There was some public sympathy for the wars, and people began to question whether the empire could continue. And then by the second half of the 20th century, there was, for the most part, an orderly transition from empire to commonwealth of countries being granted independence. And I said that in the 20th century, in the second half, it was peacefully, but there were other examples in the United States where it was not so peaceful. So, the early 20th century, so 1905, was a time of optimism in Britain. So people were optimistic that things are getting good and even better. The nation, with its expansive empire, well-admired navy, thriving industry and strong political institutions, was what is now known as a global superpower. So the nations of Britain had an expansive empire. Britain is formulated in the Great Britain with its great empire, and the well-admired navy, so that many people admired, it's a smaller form of envied their navy, and they envied the navy, it's part of the First World War. So, and Britain was a nation with a big empire, a great amount of territory, and the navy, so the ships of Britain were admired. We know a bit about the ships. First, the naval tradition was partly founded by Sir Francis Drake. What was part of? The second part we know of, the battle against the Spanish Armada, 1588, which increased, in particular, the popularity of Elizabeth I. And we have the Battle of Trafalgar, 1805, against the French and Spanish troops led by Admiral Nelson, and his ship, the HMS Victory, can be seen in Portsmouth. And so Britain had a well-admired navy, so and now also submarines and so on, and many ships admired and also envied. But we're coming to that maybe. A thriving industry. We had the Industrial Revolution. Britain was the first country to industrialize at a larger scale. We had many import and export, many trading. They don't mean industry. Also commerce and banking and insurance companies were many in Britain. And Britain was doing many. But Britain had a thriving industry and strong political institutions. Yes, but it meant people had optimism because it had strong political institutions. At the beginning of the 20th century, the voting right was completely there, but it had down the monarchy. There was for a long time no problems with the monarchy and the parliament. I'm just saying that now because that would fit in the explanation, and I think that's the case. They had a strong parliament, the House of Lords and House of Commons. They had a greater amount of people able to vote with the reform of the 1832, 1867. So they had a stable and strong political institutions. What is now known as a global superpower. So the nation would be referred to today as superpower, or is referred to as a global superpower. This, I think, that's so important for this. What is now known as a global superpower. The nation is what is now known as a global superpower at the beginning of the 20th century. It was also a time of social progress. Financial help for the unemployed, old age pensions, and free school meals were just a few of the important measures introduced. So, social progress was made so that people were looking better for another. And that means in detail we actually have here examples. Financial help for unemployed. So people who could not find work were getting financial help so that they don't have to start. And old age pensions, so that people, if they are affected for a long time by aging and they're getting 60, 70, 80 years old, that they get money because they are too old to work. They can't work anymore because they are too old, especially physical jobs. And now we're getting pensions, so they're getting money because they had worked their whole life, basically. And now we're just too old. That's not their fault, so we're getting money. We're looking after each other. People whose fault this is not that they can't work and they have worked all their life should not starve to death. And free school meals. So the children were getting in the school a meal, something to eat. Were just a few of the important measures introduced. And now we're starting with the standing yoga, and we will continue. We're having the next standing a bit more and showing before I depart the breathing in and lifting the arms up. And if you participate in the standing yoga, that is the round. And we're breathing out, we're bringing the arms down and we're opening the chest to sky. And breathing in. And out and lean again back. And again in. And now close the feet. And bring also the palms to touch of the hands. Breathe in. And breathe out and lean back. Read it point. And breathe again in into the middle. And breathe out and lean again back. And breathe in again into the middle. And breathe out and lean again back. And breathe in into the middle. And out with the feet, down with the arms. Let's do one exercise. Warrior, a bit of warrior. There are different exercises you can do with warrior. We're doing a simple one. These toes in the right direction, these toes in the right direction. We're breathing in, lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out and we're bending the front leg. And we're breathing in. And out, we're leaning onto the front leg and we're taking the arm over and we're looking up. And breathe again in. And out in the middle. And now breathe in. And out, we're leaning back, taking hold on our back leg and looking up to the head. And breathe again in. And out back into the middle. And breathe in. And out, we're exiting the warrior on that side and not on the other side. We start in this direction, back to that. You're breathing in, lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out and we're bending the front back. And now breathe in. And out, we're leaning onto our front leg and we're looking up. And breathe again in. And out in the middle. Breathe in. And out and onto the back leg and we're looking up. And breathe again in. And out the middle. And last time in. And out we're exiting the water. I don't have that much time left if you want to do a bit more standing. Various laws were passed to improve safety in the workplace. Again, examples. Town planning rules were tightened to prevent the further development of slums, and better support was given to mothers and their children after divorce separation. So, various laws were passed to improve safety in the workplace. So, for example, there has to be a person who always makes sure that the pillars are standing correctly before people going into the mine shaft to get the coal. So, laws. Various laws. And then town planning rules were tightened to prevent the further development of slums. So to say, for example, that not just in architecture type, but also only so and so much people are allowed to live in one place, and the room has to be so and so big, and so on. So town planning rules, we had to say here and here are towns and houses standing, so many people are allowed to live there, and here are the streets and there's bed. And better support was given to mothers and their children after divorce or separation. So that better support after divorce, that the mothers and their children get support if it was a divorce or separation. Local government became more democratic and the salary for members of parliament, MPs, was introduced for the first time, making it easier for more people to take part in public life. So that's the last thing. Local government became more democratic. So that means in the local areas there were more people able to vote, or also that their voting had a greater impact on the politics. But the government in local sort of smaller towns became more democratic. And salary for members of parliament was introduced. So there we're having MPs, the word MPS, and that seems to stand for members of parliament. Members of parliament, MPs, MPS, members of parliament, MPs. The S for plural, MPS. So that we're getting a salary, so that we're getting money for it, but we can do it as a job. And we can actually concentrate on that. And the salary for members of parliament was introduced for the first time, making it easier for more people to take part in public life. Yes, we had in the House of Commons lords, knights and wealthy people. In the House of Lords we had great landowners, bishops and the nobility. They seemed all to be able to have money. Now imagine a person once is working in a coal mine to get money. So they have a few shillings, a few pounds per day. Not pounds per day, it was less than. So they had some money. Now imagine they want to take part in the public life. So that would mean to work in the parliament, where they want to go into the parliament. They cannot do that if they're working for 14 hours a day in the coal mine. And they cannot stop working 14 hours in a coal mine because we're having 3 children. And they don't earn enough, they have to work today and tomorrow. They cannot say, I'm going in 3 days into the parliament. We have to work today, tomorrow, the day, and all days in the coal mine. They have to work every day. But now, if they're getting money if they go into the parliament, they're getting a salary as members of a parliament, they're getting a salary if they are MPs, they can do it as an occupation. That could be the job. So they don't have to work in the coal mines to make money and then some way find a free time to go to the parliament and make politics. If it even is possible, if you're not there on every second day and all the other people are there and we can talk and you can talk and you worked the last day in a coal mine and you got a coal lung and now you should take a speech. So now you can make that your occupation and you get their salary. So MPs are getting salary and that makes it possible for people who do not have so much money to do that as a job and get their money and don't have to do the both. That's all we're doing here. We're having 2 minutes. They're doing just standing over. But also to the outside, we're having an underlying space between the feet and we're breathing in the 3 arms up. And we're breathing out, we're coming down into the garden pose. And we're pressing with the hands against the insides of the legs, of the knees. We're breathing in and straighten up the leg, back. And we're breathing out, we're coming with the back up. And breathing in. And out again into the garden pose. And breathing in. And out again up with the back. And breathing into the garden pose. And now out into the garden pose. Now breathe in. And out we're coming slowly in one straight line up. And your hands open, up. And we're closing your feet. And we're breathing out, we're doing a few at the end of eagle's wings. We're breathing in and lifting the arms up. Meditative and calm exercise. And out again. With the arms down again. And breathe again and breathe again in and bring the arms up. And breathe out and bring the arms down. And bring the arms slowly up. And out again down. And for last time, bring the arms up and breathe deep in. Bring the hands to touch and breathe out, lower the hands. And that was the standing yoga. I thank you very much. We will continue with that subject. I thank you very much and next time.